Hi, my name's Jennifer and I live here in Connecticut, and I'm happy to talk to you today. Actually, we have lived here in Connecticut for almost 40 years. We've raised our family here and we've loved it here in Connecticut, and we love to get out and garden and pick blueberries and apples, and we just love Connecticut and being here. And today I would like to take the opportunity to share with you some of the things that happened to me as I was gaining my testimony and going through my conversion process to the gospel of Jesus Christ. And this happened a long time ago when I was a youth, and these experiences influenced me and shaped me. My parents found and joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints when I was 3 years old. When I was 6, my family made a memorable sacrifice-filled trip to the nearest temple, to our home in upstate New York, which at that time was way out in Logan, Utah. I was just old enough to remember and retain some precious memories of that sacred day in 1966 when we were sealed together as a family. My parents' faithfulness made a deep impression, and I learned that temples are important and worth the sacrifices it takes to get there. So a few years later, in the early 1970s, there was a small, seemingly insignificant experience that happened in my family. We were gathered together to watch a session of General Conference, and the prophet at that time was President Spencer W. Kimball. And he said in his talk that all members should have a garden. Well, the very next day, my dad started our very first ever family garden. And this was not as simple as it sounds. We were living in North Carolina at the time, and the hard red clay was not easy to work with. But that did not deter him. With no soil preparation whatsoever, he hacked a trench in a bare spot in the back of the yard and dropped in the seeds. And months later, my dad brought in his harvest of carrots, which were shaped like lightning bolts and tasted very bitter. Well, we had a good laugh, but Dad's quiet example had made an impression on me. And every year after that, his gardens did improve, and he actually finally enjoyed great success and enjoyed gardening in his later years before he passed away in 1999. Well, from this simple, precious experience, I gained 3 things. First, this was the beginning of my own love of and interest in gardening. And I've enjoyed gardening here in Connecticut for many years. Second, it was a powerful, righteous example that my father set for me. This first garden was planted when I was in my early teens, and I was making choices every day of which path to follow. I had good friends at church, but I was also looking around at school and feeling tempted. But Dad's quiet yet powerful example of obedience, acting in faith, was what I needed. I was watching him, and I was strengthened to make better choices. And this experience, number 3, this experience also is the foundation of my testimony of the importance of living prophets and how we should treat the teachings of prophets. The fact that Dad immediately reacted to President Kimball's counsel to plant a garden was to me the most important part of his example. If he had procrastinated, I'm not sure I would have paid as much attention or gotten the point. I learned and have a testimony that if the words of a prophet on gardens and self-reliance are important to heed, then so are teachings on other topics too. Chastity, honesty, honoring parents, temples and family, missionary work, the Sabbath day. And I know that having living prophets to guide us is a part of God's merciful plan to help us return to Him. And this experience when I was young led to more experiences later that confirmed to me and strengthened my testimony, and I still work on that every day. And thank you for this opportunity. Thanks for listening.